closer. Why Primo helping him? Primo, why are you helping him, Primo? What the fuck are you helping him for? For what? All this for what? Record all of this, please. I'm coming from work, and they fuck with me because I'm sleeping. And these bums that sleep on the train. That's why they fuck with me, because I'm sleeping. I'm coming from work. Get off me. Yo, Primo, get the fuck off me. Shorty, I'm not doing that to you. I'm not doing that to you. It's this guy. You get him off me. Why is he involved? Why is he involved? Is he a cop? Is he a cop? Yo, shorty, call him. Get him, please. Is he a cop? Primo, are you a cop? Primo, are you a fucking cop? Primo, are you a fucking cop? Huh? Why are you involved, you fucking dickhead? Yeah, call that.
What is your badge number? What is your badge number?
Yeah, give your badge number. Get all that. Get all that.
Don't fucking put your hands on me. Don't fucking put your hands on me.
Alright, look. I'm gonna get up. Shut up. Here you go.
30.
Slow everybody down.
408.
Record all of this, please. Yes. Listen, baby, I gotta get a little more about nothing. Baby, listen, we gonna eat. Baby, we gonna eat, baby. Record all of it, please.
Slow everybody down. Slow it down.
We gonna eat. Yes, we gonna eat. Yes. Hold on. Hey, we gonna eat. Fuck. Get the fuck out.
Get out of here, please. Get out.
857. I got all y'all. On camera. All y'all.
That's fucked up.
And I got your badge numbers.
For this.
Excuse me, let me
You'll sit your hands in your pocket.
I'm gonna grab your ID. You want me to grab you my ID?
Take your hands in your pocket, okay? It's for personal safety, my personal safety and my partner's safety.
Put your phone away, please.
This is for my safety too.
I don't listen. Put your phone away.
I don't need to put my phone away. I'm recording this. It's my First Amendment right.
Let me explain something.
What's your name, sir?
What's your name? What's your name?
Officer Morales.
Officer Morales, and what's your name, sir?
I don't have to answer you. I'm telling you, this is who I am. Put
Officer,
your phone away, boss.
What's your name, sir?
Put your phone away. I'm telling you right now, put your phone away.
You're making yourself look bad because I'm recording this, and this is being live posted to YouTube. So the more you want to talk about it, the more you're making yourself look foolish.
Let's see ID.
All right, so do you want to see ID? Can I go reach for it in my pocket, sir? Ma'am, is that okay?
After 5 minutes, yes, go ahead.
Jesus Christ. Seems like you don't want to be recorded because you're doing something wrong. Is that the issue? Is that the issue, sir? Do you not want to be recorded because you're doing something wrong, sir? Officer Morales, what's your partner's name? Is that your name? Oh, Morales?
Officer Morales.
Morales, and his name is what? Because he doesn't want to seem to offer answer.
Stop moving around. We have you stop right now. Okay? Stop moving around.
Am I being detained?
Stop moving around.
Am I being detained?
Okay, you're being stopped right now.
Am I being detained?
Okay, I'm taking down your information because you're carrying a knife.
Go on then.
Okay, that's the reason why I'm stopping.
Because you're intruding on my freedom.
No, I'm not.
You are. What's your shield number, sir? What's your shield number, sir? Is that 0681? Is that correct? 0861 or 0681? There we go, 0681.
Put this in your pocket because this is actually an automatic arrest.
No, it's not because
yes,
it's not a weapon.
All right, have a good one.
Yep, good. Have a good one, guys. Assholes.
Caught on video. The NYPD tonight investigating that video because it shows the cop in the subway very angry that a bystander is videotaping an arrest. You watch and you be the judge. Proper police behavior or out of line? Eyewitness News reporter Jim Dolan in the Crown Heights section of Brooklyn with the story. Jim.
Bill, the young bystander, his name is Sean Thomas, and he is charged with a number of mostly minor crimes. Resisting arrest is the most serious, but this is a rare case that is seen and heard almost entirely on video because Mr. Thomas was shooting it himself. It shows a young, clearly frustrated police officer who must surely wish he had avoided Thomas altogether. As the video starts, a man is being arrested several feet away from Sean Thomas, who is shooting the video. In time, a second officer appears and soon notices Thomas and his camera. It is legal for Thomas to be shooting video in the subways, but the officer clearly doesn't like it. He takes out his own phone and uses it to cover Thomas's lens. After walking several feet just to get to Thomas, the officer says,
"Why are you invading my personal space? You walked 30 feet to me."
It's not at all clear what laws the officer is upholding here, and Thomas isn't going to let it drop.
You get a lot of command disciplines or just a few? I don't know. You tell me. Have you ever been arrested?
And after the officer threatens Thomas with arrest, Thomas, clearly agitated, appears to threaten to sue the police officer.
Try Rojas. Try Rojas. Do you have a home? Oh, I have a home. Do you have a home? Is it paid off? Yeah, it is. Please arrest me. Please do it. Do it now, please. I'm not going to make it that easy for you.
That might have been the best move for the officer, but he isn't done.
Okay, this is my station, right here. This is not your station. You're a public servant. This belongs to the public, and you're a servant, and you're disrespecting me, and you're harassing me. Now, again, could you back the up?
And then the officer arrests Thomas, a scene which is picked up upstairs by another cell phone as Thomas is on the ground.
Why y'all dragging him in the snow like that?
That whole mess happened on Saturday. The NYPD says only that the matter is under internal review. Mr. Thomas refused our request for an on-camera interview. Reporting live from Crown Heights, Jim Dolan, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
The thin blue line is a symbol representing the men and women of law enforcement who hold the divide between order and chaos. The black space above, which on a flag is speckled with stars, represents citizenry and order, while the darkness below, crime and anarchy. Running between them, a thin blue line that keeps them apart, separating the chaos from the order. The thin blue line flag is flown to show support for our heroes in law enforcement and serves as a consoling reminder that they will always be there to protect us. For those who walk it, the thin blue line is a reflection of courage, a pledge of brotherhood, and a tribute to those who have fallen in the line of duty, affirming their memory lives on in the courage of the brave who continue to walk every day that narrow channel between order and chaos. Learn more at thinbluelineusa.com. Thank you for your support.
100 newly hired officers are being added to NYPD transit commands to report daily to subway stations and apply neighborhood policing practices here, growing bonds between law enforcement and the public and looking out for crime.
They're responsible for the quality of life conditions. They're responsible for the turnstile jumpers.
Officers get added to 4 transit districts, District 3 in Manhattan and the Bronx, District 4 in Manhattan, District 32 in Brooklyn, and District 20 in Queens. 2 other districts got neighborhood policing back in April.
We now have half of our 12 transit districts up and running with neighborhood coordination officers.
NYPD says the number of officers added to patrol subway stations and platforms will continue to grow.
We intend to and will roll out the rest of the districts in early 2019.
For police to get to know the community and for the community to get them is a good idea.
Some subway riders say even though the same officers will report to the same subway stations day after day, earning people's trust could still be a challenge that may take time.
They cannot do their job as well as they should under the circumstance that there is so much mistrust.
NYPD says when this is fully rolled out will mean a 15% increase in staffing for transit enforcement. Live on the Upper West Side, Dave Carlin, CBS 2 News.
On the loose, wanted for sex crimes in the subway, predators are being tracked down by the Transit Special Victim Squad.
People pay a lot of money to ride these trains and to be safe and to be comfortable.
Formed in September 2016, NYPD's Transit SVU is not only making dozens of arrests, they're making it their mission to shatter long-held beliefs. Being inappropriately touched on a train is not part of life in New York City.
We have to stop this, and Are we going to stop every incident? No, we're not. But we're going to try our damnedest to make sure that we do get everybody off the street that we can.
Sergeant Chris O'Connell and Detective Diane Crowley are part of an aggressive push to change the way riders think.
Everybody has this idea like this is just how it goes. This is just how it's supposed to be. It's not how it's supposed to be.
Transit SVU has also changed the way people can report subway sex crimes, which is why they say there's a spike in numbers.
We're receiving more reports than we ever were before.
Working with the MTA, victims and witnesses can now report lewd behavior through social media.
We have tried to make it as easy as possible and as stress-free as possible, and on their terms and their time.
Strap hangers can also report online. Consider this. In 2017, 40% of Transit SVU's cases were generated from the MTA portal, smartphones, or Twitter. This year, it's up to 51%.
From the portal on their website, where you can just, fill in a couple captions, and within 2 seconds, the detective has received your case and they're reaching out to you.
It happens that fast.
It's live stream.
You can remain anonymous, but investigators encourage people to speak up, saying it does not mean your information is going public.
What we don't know about, we can't stop. So the more people that come forward, we're able to identify repeat offenders, we're able to make arrests, and we're able to get these people out of the subways and behind bars where they belong.
In another first, no longer do victims need to go to a precinct to file a report. Transit SVU will go to the victim at a place of their choosing.
We'll work with you. We'll come to you. We'll meet you at your job. If you want the anonymity of that not happening, people knowing your business, then we'll meet you at your home, or we'll meet you at a diner or a train station, or anywhere you need to be.
Does anybody have any questions on these posters? Anybody seen anybody recently?
There's also an aggressive push to share information within the department while neighborhood coordination officers continue educating riders.
With that specific behavior, we know who we're looking for and we know how to target them.
In downtown Brooklyn, Mark Santia, News 4 New York.
Subway system clean and litter-free. Please use trash receptacles. Thank you for riding with MTA.
Subway acrobats, dancers, and musicians on Tuesday decried what they said was heavy-handed policing, gathering outside City Hall to join critics of a police clampdown on minor offenses. One activist suggested a temporary halt to subway performer arrests, which have spiked this year as officers zeroed in on minor crimes to set a tone for not tolerating lawlessness.
The video has over 500,000 views on YouTube. A subway performer arrested as he's singing and playing the guitar. Tonight, a rally in support of the musician who says he was within his rights. CBS 2's Alice Gaynor has more from Brooklyn, where this man is filing a complaint.
It's what any performer wants, a huge crowd and cameras. But we're not here to listen to Andrew Colleen sing.
I'm asking you. I'm saying no.
The 30-year-old was arrested in a video that's gone viral. As Colleen belts out Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here, the officer comes back and tells him to get out of here. Undeterred, he picks the guitar back up.
I'm being oppressed.
At this point, a crowd has gathered and is arguing back with police. Colleen is whacked in the face with a guitar, backup is called, and the 30-year-old is eventually arrested while still singing. Colleen has been performing in the subways since 2008.
I received 2 tickets the time before this, and then this time I decided that I was just going to stand up for my rights and say no.
Supporters say they came out today in the hopes of raising awareness for a rule already in place. The MTA rule states that the following non-transit uses are permitted by the authority, provided they do not impede transit activities and they are conducted in accordance with these rules. Artistic performances are allowed. Colleen cited the law to the officer when he initially came over, but says he was eventually charged with loitering.
These incidents continue to happen on a daily basis, and we are taught to obey the authorities, so people do, and they leave their spots, and it's not legal.
Because he says he shouldn't be facing the music for something that's legal. In Brooklyn, Alice Gaynor, CBS 2 News.
The NYPD says the arrest has been voided after reviewing the video and finding that he was not in violation of MTA rules. The police officer involved will be retrained and does not face disciplinary measures.
When we were colonists, and all of this happened right here where we are, my God, we're in Valley Forge of all wonderful places. When we were colonists and the king wanted to raise money from us, he and the parliament had ingenious ways of doing it. And one of the ways that they raised money was to enact the Stamp Act. And the Stamp Act required that every piece of paper in your possession, a book, a pamphlet, a lease, a deed, a mortgage, even a poster you were going to nail to a tree, had to have a stamp on it with the king's image. You think it was rough going to a post office? This was a foreign post office run by the king in the colonies, and you had to go there and get these stamps. Question: how did the king know that his image was on every piece of paper in your possession? Answer: the Parliament enacted something called the Writs of Assistance Act. This horrible piece of legislation authorized British soldiers to write their own search warrants. So a British soldier would show up at your door in New York or New Jersey or Pennsylvania or Delaware and handwrite out authority which authorized him to enter your house, ostensibly to look for the stamps. There was no judge involved. There was no evidence that you didn't have the stamps. There was no evidence that you had any documents that required the stamps. He was just permitted to enter, and while there, take what he wanted. Rum from the islands without a tax stamp, you can't prove you paid the tax on it, we're going to confiscate it. Furniture from the mother country, you can't prove you paid a tariff on it, we're going to confiscate it. By the way, we have 15 soldiers that need a good hot meal and a place to stay tonight. We're taking over your farmhouse. Enough was enough. We fought a revolution. We won the revolution. We wrote a constitution. And the whole purpose of the Constitution was to keep the government off the people's backs. The only reason the Constitution was enacted was because of the promise that the Bill of Rights would be part of it. So it is enacted. It is debated in 87, it's enacted in 89, and in 91 the Bill of Rights is added. And the Bill of Rights enumerates the liberties that we believe are ours by our birthright. When the Constitution was being debated not far from here in Philadelphia, there was a great argument about the origin of our freedoms. Question: where do our freedoms come from? Answer: if the person answering is Thomas Jefferson, from our humanity. God created us in His image and likeness, and as He is perfectly free, so too are we perfectly free. And when Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and that among these is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, he answered that question for all time. Our freedom comes from our humanity. This belief is known as the natural law. that our freedoms are as natural to us as the fingers on the ends of our hands, the noses in the middle of our faces, or any part of our body or any part of our spirit. The first piece of legislation ever enacted by the Congress of the United States was to adopt the Declaration of Independence. And the Declaration of Independence, just as they signed it, just as they promulgated it on July 4th, 1776, is part of the law of the land. And so if anybody says to you, well, what do you do when the government violates our natural rights? You do what the law of the United States says you do. It is the duty of the people to alter or abolish a government that violates our rights. And so we wrote a Constitution, and the Constitution, because of the Bill of Rights, added specific guarantees of natural rights that the government couldn't interfere with. The right to think as you want, the right to say what you think, the right to develop your own personality. I've frequently told O'Reilly that's the right he should be most grateful for. The right to publish what you say, the right to worship as you want, the right not to worship if you don't want. The right to self-defense. The right to use a gun when the police are unwilling or unable to protect you. And the right to use that gun on the government if it steals our freedoms, if it's taken over by a tyrant. The most unique of American rights is articulated in the Fourth Amendment. And after the right to life, it is the greatest of rights. It is the right to be left alone. We call it the right to privacy. And it reversed the Writs of Assistance Act. And it said if the government has a target, someone from whom they want evidence, no matter how guilty is the target, no matter how widespread is the belief in the guilt of the target, no matter how accurate is the belief in the guilt of the target, when the government wants to get in your property or in your home or into your bank account or into your papers, it must go to a neutral judge. And it must present to that judge what the Constitution calls and what lawyers know as probable cause, evidence under oath that it is more likely than not that the target or the custodian of these papers possesses evidence of a crime. That was the law of the land in the United States of America until it slowly began being worn away in the lifetime of everyone in this room. Let's get this straight. The right to privacy, this unique American right, required that everyone from the government that wanted anything from a private person had to go to a neutral judge and swear an oath and present evidence to that judge as to why the person's right to privacy should be violated.
What? For 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 what? I understand. All right? For what? Because I'm sleeping? Because I'm sleeping? And both that's what it's trained. Both that's what it's trained. Ain't no relax. Ain't no relax. Yo, somebody record this. Somebody record this. Somebody record this. Yeah, record all of this. No. Anybody trying? What you did? What you did? I wrote the word. No, ain't no nothing. Ain't no even arrested. No even arrested. I ain't even do shit. I ain't even do shit. I'm sleeping. Go for backup. Go for backup. You don't need backup. You don't need backup. I'm not doing this shit. You don't need backup. You don't need backup. Because this is bullshit. It's bullshit. I'm sleeping. And please do this with this. Record all of this, please. Record all of this. I'm not going home, though. I'm going home. You're not going to touch on me. I don't care what you think. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me, right? Stop fucking playing with me. You're not fucking with me, right? Stop playing with me. You? What are you doing? What are you doing? What the fuck is he doing?
Get off the train.
What did I do? All this for what? All this for what? Yo, you better shoot Primo. Show Primo the shit.
Control you back.
Tell Primo get off me first. Tell Primo get off me and behind your back. Tell Primo get off me. Go over there, please. Come closer, come closer, come closer. Come closer. Come closer. What? You making it worse. I ain't doing shit. I'm clearly sleeping. All you have to wake me up to me. Fix the myself. For what though? I'm sleeping? It's Bob sleeping. It's clearly Bob put a train that sleep. I'm coming from work. I'm coming from work. Y'all fuck me for no reason. Yeah, right? All this down. I'm coming from work. I'm coming from work. What are you struggling for no reason? Get off me! Get off me! What the fuck is wrong with you? No! No! Keep hitting me! Keep hitting me! Keep recording! Keep recording! Keep hitting me! No! I'm gonna put my hand on my back. No! 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 Get off me! Get off me!
Meet the police!
See this? See it?
85 or 7, 5, 7, and 6.
See this? All this for what? All this for what? All this for what? Get closer. Please get closer. Why is Primo helping him? Primo, why are you helping him, Primo? What the fuck are you helping him for? For what? All this for what? Record all of this, please. I'm coming from work, and they fuck with me because I'm sleeping. And these bums that sleep on the train. That's why they fuck with me, because I'm sleeping. I'm coming from work. Get off me. Yo, Primo, get the fuck off me. Shorty, I'm not doing that to you. I'm not doing that to you. It's this guy. You should get him off me. Why is he involved? Why is he involved? Is he a cop? Is he a cop? Yo, shorty, call him. Get him, please. Is he a cop? Primo, are you a cop? Primo, are you a fucking cop? Primo, are you a fucking cop? Huh? Why are you involved, you fucking dickhead? Yeah,
Yo, what's your badge number? What is your badge number? What is your badge number?
Yeah, give your badge number. Get over there. Get out of here. Get over there.
Don't fucking put your hands on me. Don't fucking put your hands on me.
Hi, look. I'm gonna get up. Shut up. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go.
30
everybody down.
408.
Record all of this, please. Yes. Listen, baby, I gotta get a little more about nothing. Baby, listen, we gonna eat. Baby, we gonna eat, baby. Record all of this, please. Yes. We gonna eat. Yes, we gonna eat. Yes. Hold on. Hey, we gonna eat. Fuck. Get the fuck out. Get out of here. Please. Get out.
85720. I got all y'all.
Hello folks, it's Danny Panzella from the Peaceful Streets Project, New York City, on this brisk New York City morning. Last night I was pulled over by one of the mob known as the NYPD. They said I ran a stop sign, which in fact I did not run the stop sign. This is a peculiar intersection where the stop sign is about 20 feet back from the actual intersection as opposed to 4 or 5 feet, which is the norm. So I rolled through that stop sign but came to a full and complete stop at the actual intersection where I could actually see the oncoming traffic. It's really a strange intersection to have that stop sign the way it is. Anyway, the officer didn't inform me of why he pulled me over, but he demanded to see my papers. Well, after I complied, because at that point there was really nothing I could do, when he came back, after writing me the summons to meet his quota, I informed him that, really the law is, and you know the law as an NYPD officer, that you're supposed to let me know what crime I'm being accused of before asking me to see my papers. He then argued with me a little bit and made a veiled threat that he could arrest me if I preferred that.
Summons for the stop sign.
All right. So listen, officer, I just want to let you know, because I'm sure you know it's the law. You're supposed to tell me why you stopped me before you ask my information. And if you don't know that that's the law, then you should check it.
If you know the law, then you can fight that in court.
Okay.
Because I do not have to inform you why you stopped me.
Absolutely, you do. I was just checking.
Once I checked your information, I informed you why I stopped.
It's part of the foundation of this country that you have to be notified what you're being accused of.
I did notify you what you're being accused.
No, I know. After you asked me for the information.
Right, and I have the right to ask you for your information based on this is. You understand any traffic infraction is an arrestable offense. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay? So I had every right to pull you over and I could arrest you. Okay? Once I have your ID, I explained why you're being stopped. That's how it works. If you don't think so, feel free to call the NYPD Law Division and discuss it with them.
Okay.
Okay?
Have fun being a tax collector.
So that's going to be the statute, sir. 552.005. Okay?
Okay.
That's it for me, sir.
Actually, officer, if you don't mind, since Officer Mendoza didn't put my statute number on my citation, I would like to request that you do. Or some officer does.
No, I just put the, I put on the letters. This is going to be the citation. Crossing where prohibited.
Yes, I understand,
but
but
what it is.
This section here,
told you, we're not required to put it in there.
Oh, you're not?
No.
Because wouldn't that be a form of notice for a person who's alleged of a crime, that they would be notified of the entire statute that they're alleged of violating?
As a Texas citizen, according to the Code of Criminal Procedure, you have the right to demand the nature and cause of the accusation. In other words, to know what you are being charged with. According to the Code of Criminal Procedure, you also have a right to have a copy of the written charges.
No, and you can dispute that in court.
Okay.
If you want to, okay?
Well,
you have a great night.
I didn't mean to offend you by this.
But thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for your service, officer.
You're welcome, sir.
And what is your badge number again?
2069.
2069?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service, officer.
The rule of law matters in all kinds of different ways. It's the foundation of what gives people the confidence to be able to speak their minds, for instance, knowing what the rules are in advance and they won't be punished by the government for what they say. And what we see when we look around the world today is that countries that have the rule of law tend to be richer and freer than countries that don't.
The constitutional principle of the rule of law means that we live under known and settled laws that were established in a system that is open for all to see. Like many constitutional principles, many take this idea for granted. We know that our laws are stable and that the rules of the game cannot just suddenly change. As John Adams said in 1776, the true idea of a republic is an empire of laws and not of men.
The truth of the matter is he could arrest me according to an NYPD source, a summons is in lieu of arrest. He could have, taken me into the station to write me the summons, and then he would have had to let me go after inconveniencing me for a few hours or so. But if you ever find yourself in this situation, be polite, assert your rights, and just say, "Officer, I'd like to know what crime I'm being charged with so that I can decide whether or not I legally need to show you my papers." I wouldn't push the issue. You don't want to be detained. If they do threaten to arrest or detain you, I would ask to see a supervisor immediately. They must summon a supervisor if you request it, and then it's up to the supervisor whether or not they will actually go through with the arrest. 9 times out of 10, over something like a stop sign or a minor traffic infraction, they are not going to be bothered with it. So don't let the officer get any overtime and arrest you for no reason. Call the supervisor. But the idea of doing this and having these conversations with police is to let them know, the public knows their rights, and they cannot use our ignorance to take advantage and meet their quota goals. That we're not going to just comply just because they have a badge. Badges don't grant extra rights. And so again, the purpose of the Peaceful Streets Project is to encourage people and to teach people how to peacefully but assertively stand up for their rights. I'm Danny Panzella for the Peaceful Streets Project, New York City. Have a great day and stay warm.
The singing and guitar and writing kind of came together. I fell in love with music when I was about 15. But I'd been playing piano my whole life. The last 3 or 4 years I've really spent wanting to free my voice. And so my life has become dedicated to that. That's one of the main reasons I started busking full-time. That's all I wanted to do, and I realized that the task of actually freeing one's voice is tremendous. So yeah, we filed a lawsuit a week or 2 ago. It'll probably be nothing until the summer. Our main goals with the lawsuit is definitely to make a stand and just say that this isn't okay. Whatever money I get from this specific incident will be donated to Thinking, Bedford Stuyvesant Restoration.
Run! Run! Oh! Run! Nice! Yo, you hit his head bad.
We got an injured cop over here, man. We got an injured cop over here.
This side. Train's coming! Off the track, train's coming.
Because of an investigation at 42nd Street, all N, R, and Q trains are holding in stations momentarily between Canal Street and Lexington Avenue.
You okay?
As soon as he came in, he punched the first woman and turned around and just punched me in my head.
Punched on the subway platform, and it only took seconds. Tonight, a homeless man under arrest, accused of attacking 3 different women for no reason. So we ask the NYPD, are riders safe? Good evening, I'm Christine Johnson.
I'm Maurice Dubois. We begin with those unprovoked attacks. CBS 2's Valerie Castro live at Columbus Circle now, and the suspect has a rap sheet that's like a mile long. Valerie.
Maurice and Christine, sources tell us the man involved in today's attack has been arrested 64 times in the past. He is now at Bellevue Hospital undergoing a mental evaluation. This picture of what appears to be an agitated homeless man is just the latest image of unrest underground in the New York City subway system.
I was in shock. I jumped back off the train immediately to try to snap a picture and to call 911.
This woman, who doesn't want to be identified, says she took the picture of the man after he allegedly punched her and 2 other women on the B train in Columbus Circle Monday morning.
But as soon as he came in, he punched the first woman, and I went to go try to hurry and get out of his way, and he went by me slightly and then turned around and just punched me in my head, then ran. As he's running out the door, he punched this Asian woman in her face. Her right eye socket is swollen and she was bleeding.
The seemingly random crime follows video the NYPD released this weekend of a man waving a knife at a rider on the E train. And just over a week ago, police say this homeless man fractured a commuter's skull after beating him with a metal object. In Monday's case, this victim says bystanders acted quickly to hold her alleged attacker until police arrived.
People took action, and I want to thank them.
Despite the string of incidents, the NYPD says subway violence is down about 5% compared to last year. Transit Chief Edward Delatorre says more cops, visible and in plain clothes, are making a dent, as well as proactive riders.
Commuters themselves are helping us out. People aren't getting away with crimes in the subway system like they did decades ago. Just about every commuter is armed with a cell phone. They're taking pictures of people when they do commit these crimes.
But some say it's not enough.
They need to do more with helping people with mental illness. It's like this is running rampant.
We're doing what we can to connect them to the services they need.
As for the man arrested today, we're told he was last arrested 2 years ago for public urination in a Brooklyn subway station. Reporting live from Columbus Circle tonight, Valerie Castro, CBS 2 News.
An update now on a subway rider seen flashing a knife while he was riding a train with a small child. Sources telling CBS 2 News the man who you can see there has been arrested. We're being told he's currently at the 6th precinct in the Village and will be charged with menacing. Cell phone video shows him appearing to be threatening another passenger, and that passenger tells CBS 2 this incident started after he confronted the suspect for hitting the child.
New York is famous for many things, one of them being their subway performers. Well, last Friday, a little music got one musician into a whole lot of trouble in the subways of New York, even though he wasn't breaking any laws. The musician, who performs there regularly, was just doing his thing peacefully when an NYPD officer approached him and told him to stop playing and told him to leave the subway platform. Well, the guitarist objected and said that he had a right to be there. And he even got the officer to read the section code out loud. Even though the officer was proven wrong, here's what happened. Take a look.
Welcome, boys, for the lead role in the cage. How I wish you were here. We're just 2 lost souls swimming in this world. What have we found? The same old.
Well, the musician refused to back down, and shortly thereafter, the officer called in reinforcements. The musician was handcuffed and whisked away by the police. I was joined earlier by Andrew Killeen, that New York street performer you just saw in that video, to share his story. So I first asked him what on earth compelled him to challenge the officer.
Well, I've been in the situation a few times, and I was prepared. I wanted to stand up for my rights.
Now, you mentioned that this has happened to you a few times in the past. Have they been this severe, or was it a little more polite? Tell us about those.
It's sort of escalated to this point. I've stood up for my rights gradually more and more, and I have succumbed to the bullying that you see there. And at this point, I just didn't want to anymore.
And now, the video ends, the person that's videotaping you, it ends not abruptly, but we see where you get escorted out of the subway, up the stairs. You're off in handcuffs. Tell us what happened to you after that.
I was taken to a precinct. While I was in the car, the officer was looking up, trying to find a law that he could charge me with, and eventually found one, a Depression-era penal law for loitering. But then I was in a cell for the next 5.5 hours.
So did he actually find, he found something to charge you with? Tell us what that was again.
It is loitering in the subway, or loitering in a transit area for the purposes of entertainment, but without other authorization. My argument is that the law that I cite authorizes my behavior.
Right. We saw in the video that you had him explicitly read that actual section code. He read it out loud. People were obviously cheering you on because, from what it sounds like, I mean, you're within your legal right to be there. Why do you think this guy was so dead set on stopping you, or why was he after you? Was there anything before the video that we missed?
You know, we had a bit of a conversation afterwards. There is not much before the video that you missed. He said that he is asked to do that. Officers are asked to do that. Perhaps part of the re-employed broken window policy here in New York. But they're essentially asked to do something that's against the law, and I don't think he was prepared for that situation. And it was probably very frustrating for him, and I don't think he handled it the right way, but I don't put all the blame on him.
Not entirely. You think it maybe stems from something a little larger, systematic type of thing?
Sure, yeah. He should not be asked to do things that are illegal, and he should be prepared. He should know the laws.
Right.
And he should be prepared to handle a situation like that. And not in that way. That's not the way that we want to show the world how we live here in America.
And now, I gotta ask, after this last incident, obviously it's become viral, are you planning on doing this again, or have you been, I should say?
You know, I've been doing what I'm doing right now since then. I've been, because I say my email right in the middle of that video, and I said it to, just so I would get an email of the evidence, so, but I didn't think that this was going to happen, but I've been handling media essentially since. But absolutely, I will be back in the subway.
And apart from the subway, do you perform anywhere else in the city?
You know, I have quite a bit. Right now, I have been very much in love with the subway. That particular spot where I was playing, I play late nights there, and it's quiet, and there's a beautiful crowd, and there's incredible acoustics, and I feel I get a beautiful experience there of connecting with people. Oh, so it satisfies me.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. That was musician Andrew Killeen and his band, Lawrence and Lee. Thanks so much.
1050.6C, man. Look it up.
Guys, I'm not going to help you.
You don't need to. You just need to know the law, man.
You're not going to explain nothing.
Could someone please get you recording this thing? Yeah, we're recording. Thank you. We got bigger problems in New York City than someone playing a guitar. People like me down here. There's no.
Look at this
there's
spot
no
right
problem.
here. Every time I come here.
Yeah,
we love
everyone
it.
else is enjoying this.
That's good. But the transit authority says that you cannot play down here without a permit.
No, it doesn't. It says intensive.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Guys, I'm not going to argue with you.
We are arguing.
No, we're not arguing.
We've been arguing the whole time.
I'm asking you to put the guitar away.
And I'm saying no.
Then you're going to get arrested.
That's illegal.
No, it's not illegal.
That is illegal. He's wrongful arrest.
And I'm going to show you right now.
You should do that. I got it. There's a police station upstairs. You guys have rules and regulations? You should look up 1050.6. No, I'm just saying, just look.
1056Cs?
1050.6, section C.
Unauthorized non-transit use.
All right, so go to.
All right.
It says in there, artistic performance is allowed, including the
Except as expressly and permitted in this division, no person shall engage in any non-transit uses, this is a non-transit use, upon any facility or conveyance. Non-transit uses are non-commercial activities that are not directly related to the use of the facility or conveyance for transportation.
Now scroll down.
Means you have to use transportation.
Scroll down.
The following non-transit uses are permitted by the authority.
Yes.
Provided they do not impede transit activities.
Yes.
And they are conducted in accordance with these rules: public speaking, campaigning, leaflet, and distribution of non-commercial materials, activity intended to encourage a facility voter registration, artistic performances, including the acceptance of donations, solicitation of religious charities that are licensed for 12 months, commissioner, are permitted.
Great. So I'm going to
Are
continue.
prohibited. No, you're not. You're prohibited.
You just read them all because I want to continue.
Prohibited. Get your stuff and leave. You're leaving.
I'm not.
No, you are leaving.
I'm not.
By force, or you're going to go out on your own.
Okay, you can arrest me, sir, but I'm not.
Get your
leaving.
stuff. You're being ejected.
You can put cuffs on me if you
No,
want.
no. Being ejected doesn't mean you're arrested. It means you're getting thrown out of the station. Now get your stuff and let's go and leave.
I will not stay here.
Why? 85 near Metropolitan Avenue, non-emergency.
You know Freebird?
He's allowed to stay here. That's all it is.
Tell me your email again.
Woo! These skies complain. Can you tell what you feel? From the coast to your end, a smile from a building. Do you think you can tell? Did they get you betrayed? Your heroes were ghosts, hot ashes for trees, hot air for a cool breeze, cold comfort to change. Did you exchange a walk-on part of the war for a lead role in the cage? How I wish you were here. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fish bowl. Year after year, rolling over the same old ground. What have we found? The same old fears. Wish you were here.
Amen. Tell me your email again.
ANDREWWalleen@gmail.com. Thank you so much.
Guys, stop playing with the dogs.
This is harassment. This is harassment. Get your stuff. I'm being oppressed.
I don't need you.
This is
You're going to go on your own, or you're going to be forced out.
I'm here.
What is it being arrested on?
What's the cops like ID? Like what's the badge number?
There is no.
What's the badge number?
You read my rights to me and said that it was okay.
Yeah, we all heard. We all heard.
It said allowed.
Everybody heard it.
You said it out loud.
You said it out loud. There are crack dealers in New York City, and you're arresting this man for playing a guitar.
I'm not arresting him. I'm telling him he has to leave.
Why?
What grounds?
What does it matter?
On what grounds are you telling him to leave? First of all, it's none of your business.
It is our business. It's part of the public defense.
I take this stuff almost every day. I listen to these guys' music every day. I like it. I don't want to hear you trying to arrest them.
If you're not arresting him, then what are you doing? I'm ejecting him.
Harassing
On
them?
what
I don't
grounds?
know.
On what grounds are you arrested?
You don't have something better to do? There's just people breaking laws, real laws. Dangerous people in the city.
That's what I'm saying! There's people with
This is a fraction of New York. Go upstairs.
Woo!
Hey!
Hey, you can't do that!
Oh!
There's no reason for this! There's no reason Can we not have them give us the money? Like, can we try to do that? Mr. Lunchbox, please, thank you very much.
Right.
Okay. Take the money also. Take the money, might as well.
Yeah.
Just robbing us well.
Such an injustice in the world.
So you think you can tell heaven from hell, blue skies from pain? Can you tell a green hue from a cold steel rail? A smile from a man. Do you think you can tell? Did they get you to trade your heroes for gold? Wish you were here.